everyone. Welcome to the first episode of ChatGPT versus Gemini AI Showdown. I'm Michelle, and here I'm with my co-host,
Ryan. And so today we're going to be diving into the world of AI prompting. Whether you're using ChatGPT or another AI assistant such as Gemini, there's going to be a lot to learn here. And we hope that you're going to be better prompters by the end of this session.
So this ChatGPT really is a mouthful, huh?
Yes, I continue calling it ChatGTP.
So Gemini already has an advantage.
That is a good point.
Just for notability.
Yes.
What we want to do today is first just very quickly go over where ChatGPT and Google Gemini came from. And then Ryan will dive deep into the basic principles of prompt engineering.
Yes, I have 4-step formula to help you get the answers you want every time, or most of the time.
Then we'll show a sample prompt, so we will look at this prompt together and some variations that you can do for the prompt in real time. And finally, I know this is boring and we all just hit agree. Most of us always hit agree without going over it.
Yes, I'm one of those people.
But we must go through the terms of use for both platforms.
Yes.
So that we understand when we're producing something, either with ChatGPT or Gemini, are we breaking the rules?
Yeah, it is very important not to break any rules. I admit that. That's why we do have it in the video. But it is at the end, and if you want to go through and look at some of my other videos instead, please do.
But if you want to follow the rules like I am, please stay.
Stay till the end, yes.
ChatGPT is from this company called OpenAI. OpenAI is an American artificial intelligence research organization founded in December 2015, researching artificial intelligence with the goal of developing safe and beneficial artificial general intelligence, which it defines as highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work. That doesn't sound good.
No, I know.
Are these AI platforms truly outperforming humans? And if so, in what aspect? And can we work hand in hand with these AI models to make our human lives better?
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Exactly.
As one of the leading organizations of the AI boom, it has developed several large language models. So this is what you always hear about, the LLM. Advanced image generation models, and previously released open source models. Its release of ChatGPT has been credited with starting the AI boom.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Gemini? Gemini, formerly known as Bard,
Ooh.
which is a terrible name.
Yes.
I mean, if your name is Bard, I apologize.
Subscribe, though.
It's a generative artificial intelligence chatbot developed by Google based on the large language model of the same name and developed as a direct response to the meteoric rise of OpenAI's ChatGPT. It was launched in a limited capacity in March 2023 before expanding to other countries in May. So, didn't you have something to say about the birth of Gemini?
Well, what's quite fascinating is, as you can see, its most recent stable release occurred in May, hence likely its new name of Gemini. And it seems very appropriate, and especially for all you astrology lovers out there. I'm very excited about this name. As soon as I saw this name, I started wanting to get interested in it right away. Whereas I had known about Bard for a year and honestly never even investigated. And I happen to be myself a Gemini as well, so that's an extra bonus point.
Yeah, I love me those Geminis.
The way you prompt is going to dramatically change the results. And I'm sharing with you my 4-step formula to help get the most out of your AI interactions. And so typically when I was thinking of AI, I would just ask a very simple question, such as, what is the weather going to be today? Or things like that. And when you ask that, you get a very simple response and a very basic and general response. However, if you go through this 4-step formula, you're going to be able to get a detailed answer. And so first thing you want to do is start by telling the AI who you are. And so give several examples. Are you a student? Are you a marketer? Are you a developer? This sets the context for the AI to answer you. Then you want to clearly state, what do you want to know? Make your request and be as specific and detailed as possible. The more information you give, the better answer you're going to receive. Then you want to write, how do you want the AI to give you the answer? So specify the format. Are you going to want a list, a paragraph, multiple paragraphs? You can even give word count limits. And the more details you provide, the better. And then who do you want the AI to be answering the question? Do you want an expert, a tutor, a brainstorming partner, your best friend? All of these will actually change the way in which the AI responds and will give you the exact type of answer that you want. And so this is a critical 4-step formula that's going to help expand even the possibilities of the questions you can ask and the answers you can receive.
These are great points, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
Remember, the principle here is the AI is going to give you what you want.
A bad prompt is simply asking, write me a marketing plan. And this might be something that I would have done in the past.
Yeah.
Very clearly, because I never imagined how conceptually advanced these were. However, to make this better, you would use these specific examples saying, as a marketing consultant, which is defining myself, create a 5-point marketing plan for a new vegan restaurant targeting young adults. Include budget recommendations and social media strategies. And what you can do is just experiment, play around, try different roles, formatting, find out what works best for you. And don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions to the AI because you can get more subsequent information and it will remember within the same conversation that you've had.
So what you're saying here is you yourself have to know what you want before you tell AI what you want from it.
Yes, so you have to do a lot of soul searching and thinking before you even get into it and to really understand what do you actually want to know.
Fascinating and maybe overlooked utility for these chatbots is to analyze situations.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this example here. I would like some interpretation of a situation I am in. I am a recent graduate currently on the job market. The hiring manager of one of the positions I applied to emailed me to set up a Zoom interview. I was very excited and prepared for hours, but a few hours before the scheduled time, he rescheduled it for the following day.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, very frustrating. I was very disappointed. The next day we met on Zoom. I dressed professionally and ensured my background was also professional. However, the hiring manager was wearing a lab coat and mentioned he was in the middle of imaging on a microscope. I was taken aback by this, but the interview went reasonably well. After the interview, I ruminated on the situation and wondered what his handling of the interview process says about the type of manager he is. What issues might I anticipate if I were to work for him in the future?
Yeah, this is an incredibly detailed prompt, very specific. You're defining who you are and you're defining how you want it to answer for you.
Yeah, and does it hit all your 4-step formula?
Yeah, for the most part. And I think that one thing you could add is who you want the chat bot to be when they're giving you the answer.
I'm glad you brought that up because I gave this situation 3 options.
Wow, incredible.
Remember, the AI is going to be who you want them to be.
Yes.
The AI is going to give you what you want. So this is why soul searching is so important before you actually use the chatbot. You have to define what you want and who you are.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do here is copy and paste this sample prompt in both ChatGPT and Gemini to get a sense of what kind of answers we're getting. And we're going to then move on to test some of the qualifiers.
Yes, and we'll test the qualifiers in our favorite chatbot during this preliminary test.
So here I copy and pasted this sample prompt, and I'll just delete this.
And see how incredibly fast it is.
Yeah, it's very fast. So it seems like ChatGPT is giving very detailed answers, and you have issues and positive aspect, and some final thoughts. The situation you described offers several insights into the hiring manager's behavior and potential management style. Here's an interpretation of the various aspects and what they might indicate. So rescheduling the interview, possible interpretation, suggests disorganization or hectic schedule.
And then it highlights some of the potential issues with that. I like this breakdown of interpretation and potential issues. And also the way that they're formatting it, ChatGPT does a good job of giving you a list, bullet points, they have bolded formats, so it's easy to read and look around for the things that you want to see in there. And obviously look how expansive this answer is. This is not just a simple boom, 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 giving a few sentence response, and that is primarily because of the prompt that you were able to input.
Yeah, so interview conducted in the middle of work. Conducting an interview while engaged in another task, such as imaging on a microscope, may suggest that the hiring manager is highly involved in day-to-day operations and possibly overextended. So again, it's reiterating that the schedule is hectic, the hiring manager's busy, and the potential issue is the manager's often multitasking and may not always be fully available for guidance or support. It may also reflect a high-pressure environment where efficiency is prioritized, sometimes at the expense of formality or structured processes. So I think here it's providing this insight.
Exactly. And it's critically important when you're trying to decide if you want to go and enter into a workplace, what is going to be the working environment like. And you might not be, especially if you're doing a Zoom interview, you're not going to necessarily get to ask all the people that are working there right now.
Yeah.
So just being able to ask the chatbot gives you some insight like, whoa, if you want somebody that's going to be there as a manager for you all the time, this might not be the guy.
Yeah, and it also gives you some ideas of questions to ask should you meet the rest of the team later.
Yes.
And you'll be able to prompt your potential coworkers for the answers that you desperately need for a safe and healthy work environment. Anticipated issues and considerations. You might need to be very adaptable. That is a very interesting interpretation because I wouldn't have thought of it. Communication and expectations. Clear communication might be a challenge. You may need to proactively seek out information and clarifications to ensure you understand expectations and priorities.
Yes, and if you look back up here, being able to manage unexpected changes effectively will be crucial. So you can anticipate a lot of strange things happening, unexpected events, and you're going to have
out fire?
Yeah, you're going to have to be able to adapt or perish.
You seem to be very personally involved in this situation.
Yes, I know.
Okay, finally, let's look at some of the positive aspects. Hands-on involvement. The manager being actively involved in technical tasks might mean they have a deep understanding of the work and can provide valuable insights and expertise. So I'm glad despite this negative situation that we described here,
Yeah.
They gave the hiring manager some positive.
They give them some brownie points.
Such environments can be stimulating and provide opportunities for growth and learning. What really means is you learn a lot from putting out the fire.
Yeah, you got to put out the fires.
Let's look at the final thoughts. It's kind of like Jerry Springer final thoughts. Before making any decisions, consider your own work style and preferences. Reflect on whether you would be comfortable in an environment that requires flexibility and potentially offers less structured support. It might also be helpful to ask current employees about their experiences to gain more insight into the workplace culture and management style. So, I think this is a very good, comprehensive report.
Yes, I agree.
And it gave a lot of insight into the path forward, how to handle this situation. Into Google Gemini. So just right off the bat, I think I like this organization a little bit better. Because in ChatGPT, it broke down, there is no big header here for all 3 points. You kind of have to reorganize the thoughts you kind of have to reorganize the analysis ChatGPT provided you into your own thoughts.
Yes.
Versus Gemini here, it's organized in the way I'm going to think. Possible positives, possible negatives, and recommendations.
Yeah, and it's starting off right from the bat.
And you can just listen.
The situation you described can be
I really
interpreted
like
in a
this
few
part.
ways, and it's important to consider both positive and negative possibilities. Here's a breakdown. Possible positives. Dedication. The manager might be highly dedicated to his work and research, willing to squeeze in the interview despite a busy schedule. This could be a good sign for a fast-paced environment where innovation is valued. Flexibility.
All right, that's a
Rescheduling and
positive.
conducting the interview remotely shows some flexibility, which could be beneficial for work-life balance. Transparency. He openly acknowledged being in the middle of something and might be someone who values direct communication.
Here's the second platform.
Yeah.
And I am continuously gaining insight into the situation because I did not see any positives just by reading the prompt. But now I can see at least he's transparent.
Exactly. There are different ways of interpretation of the same action, and Gemini has done a very good job of doing that. And now we'll get into the negatives of those same actions, and then it'll be very interesting.
Gemini is staying true to its name.
Yes.
Possible negatives. Disorganization. Rescheduling last minute and conducting the interview in a lab coat could indicate poor time management or a lack of respect for the interview process. Work-life balance. Being busy with imaging on a microscope during your interview time could suggest a demanding work environment or a manager who struggles with boundaries. Attention to detail. The lab coat situation might suggest a lack of attention to detail or professionalism in certain areas. Here are some issues you might anticipate if you were to work for him. Long hours. His dedication to research could translate to long hours expected from his team. Last-minute changes. Rescheduling could be a sign of a manager who makes frequent changes without much notice. Focus on productivity over process. If he prioritizes work over interview decorum, he might value efficiency over formalities. Recommendation. Consider the overall interview experience beyond the lab coat. Did he seem engaged and ask insightful questions? If you're offered the job, ask questions during the follow-up interview about work-life balance, expectations, and management style. This will give you a better picture of what it would be like to work for him. Ultimately, the decision is yours. The manager's actions might be a red flag, or they could just reflect his work style. By considering all factors and asking questions, you can make an informed decision about whether this position aligns with your needs.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I really like how they organize all the information. And I feel I'm doing a little bit less work trying to figure out what Gemini had came up with.
Yes.
So what do you think? Should we go forward with ChatGPT or Gemini?
I think for this one, we should go forward with Gemini.
First qualifier I have here is I am in a vulnerable space and seeking some reassuring answers. Please tell me if there's something genuinely wrong in his behavior or if this is a serious red flag. So maybe this person is really desperate for a job and they can't afford to miss this opportunity because the hiring manager have rescheduling issues or have scheduling issues and unprofessional attire. Now, the AI is going to give you an answer accordingly. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
So here I enter one of the 3 qualifiers that we have. I am in a vulnerable space and seeking some reassuring answers. Please tell me if there's something genuinely wrong in his behavior or if this is a serious red flag. So it seems that Gemini starts off with some reassuring answers here.
Yeah.
It's completely understandable to feel uneasy after the interview. The lab coat situation is definitely unconventional, and it's reasonable to be concerned. However, it might not necessarily be a huge red flag. Here's a more reassuring take. Focus on the interview. You mentioned the interview itself went well. That's a great sign. A good manager will prioritize a well-conducted interview even if they're busy. Possible explanation. There could be a perfectly valid reason for the lab coat. Maybe something unexpected came up in the lab, forcing him to squeeze in the interview during a critical moment. Here are some additional thoughts to calm your nerves.
Yeah,
New
reassuring.
graduate. Hiring managers understand new graduates might not have extensive interview experience. They might be more flexible with formalities. Focus on you. The most important thing is how you felt during the interview. Did he seem respectful and engaged with your responses? Next steps. Don't dwell on the lab coat. Let it go and focus on the positive aspects of the interview. Gather more information. If you get offered the job, ask about work culture and expectations during the follow-up interview. This will give you a clearer picture. Remember, you're in control. If, after gathering more information, you still feel uncomfortable, you can politely decline the offer. Good luck with your job search. I hope you find the perfect position for you.
So I definitely think this analysis is very comforting. It's exactly what I sought out, right?
Yes.
I'm in a vulnerable space and seeking some reassuring answers. So it's very reassuring, and it even has this good luck wishes in the end.
Exactly.
Now, I feel like for a drastic comparison, we should put the over-analysis one next.
Yes, let's take a look. Oh, I was thinking this is going to be able to give us the other side of the answer. So basically saying this is potentially a really dangerous situation, and it'll be interesting to see what negatives it says about the situation.
Or the qualifier of the prompt is, I want you to overanalyze this scenario and sound the alarms, even if it's a false positive. So we're here asking for false positives because we want to cover our bases. Because I do not want to be blindsided. Okay.
All right, let's crank the analysis up to 11 and dissect this interview with a critical eye. Red flag alert, disorganization and lack of respect. The lab coat situation screams disorganization. Rescheduling last minute and conducting the interview in that attire suggests a manager who might struggle with time management and prioritize his work over the interview process.
Yes.
This could translate to frequent last-minute changes. Get ready for potential schedule disruptions and drop tasks.
Wow.
Disrespectful of your time. Your interview time might not be as valued as other things on his plate. Focus on results over process. Efficiency might be king, even if it means sacrificing formalities. Work-life balance nightmare. Being busy with a microscope during your interview paints a picture of a potentially demanding work environment. This could lead to long hours. His dedication could translate to expecting the same from you. Be prepared for potential pressure to put in extra hours. Poor boundaries. The lab coat situation hints at a manager who might struggle to separate work life from personal life. Burnout potential. If the manager constantly operates in go mode, it could lead to a stressful and unsustainable work environment. Communication concerns. The lack of a formal interview setting raises questions about communication style. It's possible he might be direct communicator. He might value bluntness and prioritize getting things done over formalities. Poor communicator in general. The lab coat situation could be a symptom of a larger issue with communication clarity. Remember, false positives exist. However, it's important to consider alternative explanations.
Yeah.
Genuine emergency. There could have been a real lab emergency forcing him to squeeze in the interview during a critical moment. Informal workplace. The company culture might be very casual, and the lab coat wasn't meant as a disrespect. Next steps. Gather intel. Before jumping to conclusions, try to gather more information. Follow-up interview. If offered the job, ask pointed questions about work culture, expectations, and work-life balance. Research the company. Look online for employee reviews to get a feel for the work environment. The decision is yours. Ultimately, the choice is yours. If after gathering more information, you're still uncomfortable, politely decline the offer. Don't be afraid to prioritize your well-being and seek a work environment that aligns with your needs. Remember, you deserve a manager who respects your time and fosters a healthy work-life balance. Don't settle for anything less.
Wow.
Wow, this is, what I'm seeing here is even though it went from maybe a 5 from our previous qualifier to an 11, it still has some safeguards. Remember, false positives exist.
Exactly. And then it gives you steps. Gathering intel, what should you do before you're making your final decision. And also never forget that you should not settle for a manager that doesn't respect your time.
Yeah, I think these are some very good pointers, and it feels very personal. The answers feel very personal.
Yeah. All right, let's do one last exercise here where we ask for our friend's opinion and see how does the model respond.
Yeah, so again, the qualifier is act as an unbiased and logical friend with critical evaluation abilities and provide me with suggestions.
Alright, here's the situation with a critical but balanced perspective. The lab coat incident. Unconventional, not necessarily disastrous. Let's address the elephant in the room. The lab coat. It was definitely unconventional for an interview. Here are some possibilities. It could indicate poor time management or a lack of respect for the interview process. Valid reason. Maybe something unexpected came up in the lab, forcing him to squeeze in the interview on short notice. Focus on the interview itself. More important than the lab coat is how the interview went. Here's what matters. Engagement. Did he ask insightful questions and seem genuinely interested in your skills and experience? Respect. Did he treat your responses with respect and give you a chance to showcase yourself? Communication. Was the interview clear and well structured, despite the setting? Gather more information. Don't make assumptions based on one incident. Here's what you can do. Follow-up interview. If offered the job, ask questions about work culture, expectations, and work-life balance. Research the company. Look online for employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor to get a sense of the work environment.
Wow.
Talk to people you know who might have connections to the company. Consider your priorities. What kind of work environment are you looking for? Here's how to weigh the potential issues. Disorganization. How much does a structured environment matter to you? Work-life balance. Can you handle long hours if needed? Communication style. Do you prefer a direct communicator or someone more formal? The decision is yours. Ultimately, the choice is yours. Don't be afraid to ask for more information. Seek clarification about the lab coat incident during a follow-up interview. Walk away. If the red flags outweigh the positives, politely decline the offer. I can't tell you definitively if this is the right job, but I can help you gather information and make the best decision for yourself. Let's weigh all the factors together and find a position that aligns with your needs and career goals.
Nice. Yeah, so this was coming from the perspective of a supportive friend, but they were unbiased and objective and gave their true opinions here.
Yeah, so it seems to me that the content of the responses from all three qualifiers are similar.
Yes.
But the tone is different, and with the last one, land in between.
Yes, exactly.
And the tone is going to impact our emotions, but Gemini is able to tell the same story 3 different ways.
Yes, and that's very impressive. And that's why all the parts of the 4-step formula I gave, and even who should the AI be, is an important aspect of it. You can see here from these examples we've given, simply changing those one parameter can change the way in which the information is presented.
And this also emphasized the importance of soul searching.
Yes.
Figure out who yourself is before prompting the AI.
Yep. Yeah, so mastering prompts is an ongoing process, but with some of these tips we've given today and the examples we've shown you, you'll be well on your way to unlocking your full potential with AI. And if you have any questions or tips to share, drop them in the comments below.
So now we're getting to Ryan's favorite part of today's podcast.
Agree. Hit agree.
So now that we've compared a prompt between ChatGPT and Gemini, what are the platform restrictions respectively? And I think it's important that we get clarity before diving deep using these platforms to create business plans or whatever get-rich scheme you're brewing in your head, right?
Mm-hmm. We need to know this.
And before going in, I'm going to give a disclaimer. While I am sharing information, I'm not a lawyer and cannot offer legal advice. Please consult with a qualified attorney for any specific legal questions or concerns you may have.
And I also say the same disclaimer.
So I picked out a few points from the ChatGPT or OpenAI rather terms of use that I think is important. So it's important for OpenAI that you follow their rules and comply with all applicable laws when you use their platform. And what you cannot do, which I think this section is pretty straightforward with a few points I think that's worth emphasizing. You may not use our services for any illegal, harmful, or abusive activity. For example, you may not use our services in a way that infringes, misappropriates, or violates anyone's rights.
Yeah, that's important.
You may not attempt to or assist anyone to reverse engineer, decompile, or discover the source code or underlying components of our services, including our models, algorithms, or systems. I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we don't want to figure out the sausage making.
You may not automatically or programmatically extract data or output. You may not represent that output was human generated when it's not. So for all the students out there, you want to do your you want to have ChatGPT do your homework. You may not. Yeah. It's against the rules.
And don't forget that there are a lot of AI monitors out there now online, whereas the teacher can just copy and paste what you wrote into that, and it's going to say 99% AI generated.
Oops.
And then you've gotten a 0 on the assignment.
Yeah, so don't plagiarize, don't cheat.
Yes, but use it for inspiration.
And also, you may not interfere with or disrupt our services, including circumvent any rate limits or restrictions, or bypass any protective measures or safety mitigations we put on our services. You may not use output developed models that compete with OpenAI. So I think these are all kind of pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Your content. So I think this is important. Both the input and the output are collectively content, and you're responsible for content, including ensuring that it does not violate any applicable law or these terms. You represent and warrant that you have all rights, licenses, and permissions needed to provide input to our services. And here's something I also thought is great that they explicitly state, which is the ownership of content as between you and OpenAI, and to the extent permitted by applicable law, you retain your ownership rights in input and own the output. So you must have the ownership of the input. Mm-hmm. And then you can own the output, which I think is good. Then we own the output.
Exactly.
We hereby assign you to Assign to you OR title and interest, if any, in and to output.
Yeah, and that's really useful.
And here's something to keep in mind. When you use OpenAI services, you understand and agree output may not always be accurate. This is based on that language model that OpenAI is built on. It is seeking the words that you're seeking in your prompt. It may not be accurate. You must evaluate output for accuracy and appropriateness for your use case, including using human review as appropriate before using or sharing output from the services.
That's important and they explain that they can be wrong. The ChatGPT can be wrong.
You must not use any output relating to a person for any purpose that could have a legal or material impact on that person, such as making credit, educational, employment, housing, insurance, legal, medical, or other important decisions about them. Our services may provide incomplete, incorrect, or offensive output that does not represent OpenAI's views. So here I put out the generative AI prohibited use policy by Google, which I think will cover Gemini. I think a lot of the prohibited use policy overlap with OpenAI's terms of use. So I think this is where the companies are aligning, and I think this is good. So generative AI models can help you explore new topics, inspire your creativity, and learn new things. However, we expect you to use and engage with them in a responsible, legal manner.
Mm-hmm.
To this end, you must not use the Google services that reference this policy to perform or facilitate dangerous, illegal, or malicious activities. Wow. I think that's pretty straightforward. You cannot generate child sexual abuse or exploitation content, or synthesizing illegal substance goods and services. Like, you can't say, hey, Gemini,
how can I make
methamphetamine?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me the chemical formula to make methamphetamine.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Facilitating or encouraging users to commit any type of crimes. So, promoting or generating violent extremism or terrorist content. Very bad thing. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So you will not use Gemini to generate spam or malware or generate content of deceptive or fraudulent activity. So I think this is good because it was not explicitly said in the OpenAI terms of use, but Google really care about these specific points.
Exactly. They don't want you using their platform to harass other people.
Attempts to override or circumvent safety filters, which is, OpenAI covers it too. Like, don't try to get around our safety net and do bad things.
Yeah.
Generation of content that may harm or promote the harm of individuals or groups, such as generate content that promotes or encourages hatred. Facilitating methods of harassment or bullying to intimidate, abuse, or insult others. So here again, we're seeing this point coming through time and time again. Google really doesn't want you to harass other people.
Yeah, they don't want you to harass. They don't want you to incite violence. They don't want you to encourage self-harm. They don't want you to give out any personal identifying information about yourself or other people.
Wow, yeah.
You can't be tracking or monitoring or generate content that is unfair and it has an adverse impact on people. So I'm glad that Google is really trying to direct you away from all these negative things, these toxic behaviors.
Not generate and distribute content intended to misinform, misrepresent, or mislead, including misrepresentation of the provenance of generated content by claiming content was created by a human or represent generated content as original work. So students out there, don't make Gemini do your homework.
Exactly.
generation of content that impersonates an individual, living or dead,
Wow.
without explicit disclosure in order to deceive. So don't be a fraud.
Yes.
Be upfront. Be transparent with the output you generate from Gemini.
Exactly.
Misleading claims of expertise or capability made particularly in sensitive areas. So you can't say, I'm glad we did that legal disclaimer, because we're not representing a legal party.
Exactly. So we have to describe our expertise.
Yeah, so we're not making misleading claims, and we should not make misleading claims. Claim we have the authority to represent a party when we don't.
Yes.
And again, Gemini has, or Google rather, same kind of principle here. You may not make automated decisions in domains that affect material or individual rights or well-being, financial, legal, employment, healthcare, housing, insurance, and social welfare. So I'm glad they're showing some social responsibility here, that don't use their platform to make a decision of somebody's life.
Yes, it's important.
And finally, you may not generate sexually explicit content, including content created for the purposes of pornography or sexual gratification. For example, sexual chatbots. I didn't even know that's a thing.
I know, but yeah, look at other websites for that if that's something you're into. Don't use Gemini.
Yeah, don't ruin it for other users.
Exactly.
All right, so are you glad that we went through this?
Now I am glad. I'm a convert into it. And I appreciate that you did this for us. Thank you.
And I think that's what we want to cover today.
Yes, and tune in next week for when
another wild ride with chatbots.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.